Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello, hello, hello.
Morning.
Welcome, everybody. Hey, I am on with my friend Ed Zamora. Eddie, we've spent hours, days, months in wrestling stands with our kids for multiple years. So we had a lot of time to get to know each other, catch up, and so on. And proud Eddie's on here. He's a great man, great family man, a Marine, and I'm just honored. So thank you for being here, Eddie. Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it, Mike. I know it's been a long time. We've been trying to link up. Just thinking back when the kids were all little, and Eddie wasn't so little back then anyway. So, it was many sweaty, smelly weekends spent.
Oh man.
So, yeah.
Man, the knee pads.
Probably have thousands of hours worth of camera footage, of all the wins and pins and losses and tears and but it was good times. It was fun. Good times.
Absolutely, it was, man. And it really was an honor to get stuff in perspective for me years ago. It really helped me, man. So thank you. So a little bit about Eddie here. So served with the 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines from 2001, 2004, and we know that time frame and what was going on in the world. So, Eddie, I'm not afraid to say it right now, buddy. You're a hero, man. You were one of the first in there, buddy, and I'll ask you to talk about that a little bit. So deployed twice to the Middle East. Eddie loves motorcycles, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Excited about that. Look at the smile starting on his face already. So Eddie, tell me a little bit about you. I know you're an amazing family man, all of that great stuff. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so me and Ruby, we started our family early, right? So we were just out of high school a couple of years once we ended up getting married and then starting our family. And I think we had been married a couple of years, and little Eddie was about 2 years old. And I went ahead and I enlisted. I enlisted becoming a Marine was always kind of been in the back of my mind. My dad was a Vietnam Marine, also Vietnam era, and so I grew up with that picture around the house. So I was like, as early as I can remember, I said, what is that? What does that mean? What does cross rifles mean? What is, so it kind of stuck in my head, and went ahead and made the leap and did it, and started our military journey. Involved all 3 of us, because she was there and he was there, and be gone training, and then we did, to deployments. What was nice is that I was able to stay just by chance, because I was supposed to go to the East Coast, and happened to be at the right place at the right time. Where Sergeant Major heard, us talking over lunch, and kind of sad that she had just got hired on with a state, and I was going to be going to North Carolina, and he went out of his way a couple of times actually to get my orders changed to stay on the West Coast. So I ended up down the road there in Camp Pendleton, and stayed local, and Ruby was able to, transfer down there and work part-time through my service with the state, still working with the state, which was, good. So private, we don't get paid much. So her working part-time and, keeping it locked, on the home front made it easier for me once we started getting ready to deploy in 2002 for Operation Enduring Freedom. It was 1-year anniversary, I believe, when we were on our deployment of the September 11th attacks. There's a pretty popular picture that's floated around on Facebook, I know, for a while, where it shows the carrier with "Let's Roll." We're all standing on top of the flight deck. Yeah, so that was us. That was on the anniversary, September 11th, 1st year anniversary. Man, can't believe it's been that long already.
I know, right? And I've seen that picture, and it's kind of seeing it again, it's kind of sobering. It's
Yeah, it's,
we need to remember.
yeah, definitely. And it was one of the big, back then, what I remember, it was after that, America, we got so, united and patriotic. I mean, everywhere we went, there was, American flags flying, and people were proud to be American, and just, helping each other out. And people, were friendlier to each other, no matter where you were. Unless you're driving on the 405, right? Because then everybody's just cut you off and blocking you. Right? Back then, we used to travel that along a lot back then, going back home. But
yeah, it's weird when you bring that up. I actually literally got chills because I forgot. When our nation came together like that, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing. And I'm not get into a lot of that, but it literally sent chills just the remembering of how this nation came together. It's a shame that is how it came about, but maybe we need to remember that and come together again.
Yeah, we should.
Get a lot more done.
Yeah, so that it was easier being on deployment, knowing that Ruby and Eddie were she was she's a strong woman, lady. For some reason, she doesn't like when I call her woman.
Nice fix.
Yeah. And so it just was able. I was able to focus on the task at hand. We were on deployment. We were in the real world. Real things were happening. We lost people on that first deployment that shouldn't have been lost. And then we came back in December of 2002 after being away 6 months. We punched out on leave, and what would you know, that we got a phone call to come right back and get on ship again, because we were going back over for the whole invasion of Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom 1. So we went back out there and got ready, and there was a massive buildup. It was huge, and the First Marine Division was tasked with leading the way up all the way to Baghdad. The quicker we could get up there and take over, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of that. And it's crazy. It's just surreal. It feels like yesterday and a lifetime ago at the same time. So some things are so clear, crystal clear, that I can remember so well, and other things I can't remember as much. So maybe that's for a good thing. But
sometimes our mind, we know this in the Neurocoding Institute and our trainings and so on, that our mind, when there's trauma, it will block it out sometimes.
Yeah.
And we can get into that more another time, when we're just talking. But it happens to protect you,
Yeah.
So question for you. Well, first of all, thank you for going in and doing what you did, man. Again, well, as my wife just says, we are forever indebted to you. Thank you for the comments, by the way. Keep them coming. We love seeing these. They're great. So thank you. So when you went through that, and then you started transitioning back into civilian life after both deployments, if you will, what were some of the skill sets, or more so resources, that were available to you? Because back in the Vietnam days, and I'm not throwing shade on the VA or anything, so please understand that they do some great work. There's just a lot that's not being done, from my humble opinion. And that's why I do what I'm doing. And we need to get the word out. There's veterans out there hurting. There's veterans that don't know when they're transitioning out. That's what, my specialty is, if you will, building business, finding out what you really want in life. Because most veterans, and I think you'll agree with this, Eddie, and please, fill in if not, but they really are looking to still serve. They're looking for that purpose, right?
Yeah,
I talked to a retired Lieutenant Colonel Tina Parker yesterday, and that's her story as well. The people that enlisted, not drafted, but enlisted, they were going to serve. They wanted to serve a purpose, and I think they get out, they still want to. You agree with that? You think that's?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's why a lot of us continue on and wearing another type of uniform: law enforcement, first responders, EMTs. Those to me are the real heroes that continue on to serve their own communities. And I think that's kind of when I got out, there was a bit of a transition out of the military or the Marines where they brought um, people in to talk about possible jobs. And I don't remember it much because it wasn't much. And I didn't know about utilizing unemployment benefits, which that would have helped for a short period of time since I ended up just getting out abruptly. My plan was to stay in for 20 years. And my unit left me. I was hurt and I needed surgery. And so I kind of, I got soured where I was. Everyone else was overseas again for a third time. And I was home in a cast. Um, and I just hated it. So my EAS day came out and I took it. So Ruby wasn't happy about that. Still talks about it to this day. But
So everybody, just so everybody knows, Ruby is his amazing wife. Just so you know.
yeah, I guess I should give that context a little bit. But yeah, so I packed up my gear and headed north on I-5 day before Christmas in 2004, and didn't look back for 15 years. It was too hard to look back for 15 years. So at the time, I didn't have anything lined up. I didn't know how to use my Montgomery GI Bill, which at the time that's what we had. It later evolved to the post 9/11, which is wonderful. It's one of the first things that the VA really uh, 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 gave to us to get back into school. Yeah, and uh, and it was with housing allowance as an E5 while you're enrolled in school. In the early stages, they understood that most of us were working, so they made it to a point where as long as we were enrolled, part time, 3/4 time or something, we still rated all that, housing and so I did that. I later on after let me back up. I'm sorry. So when I got out, yeah, there was not too much uh, information readily available. Um,
Right.
Definitely social media. There was no social media back then. Social media does have its good parts to it because it allowed us not only to reconnect with people we hadn't seen for a long time, but then we just like this what this podcast is now. It's veterans reaching out to other veterans and forwarding along information. And we didn't have that back then. This is
Right.
2005, early 2005, and I remember it's part of like maybe the beginnings of combat veterans getting released back into the workforce. So luckily we had just bought a house in Bakersfield because Monterey County was too expensive to move to. San Diego County was too expensive to stay in. So we kind of picked a little spot and we moved there. And there's a booming, at the time was booming oil industry. So I got a job basically on the spot for the sole purpose of me being a Marine. They said, okay, well, we're going to take you regardless, and I didn't know what I was doing. It ended up being good work. I enjoyed it. It was
Excellent.
tough. Yeah, tough.
Excellent.
And
So so basically you were resourceful, or you were brought out your own resourcefulness, brother. So you went out and figured it out yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
it took a little, and I almost went back. I almost started I got in touch with a recruiter, small world, a recruiter in Bakersfield. It was a former 3-1 Marine as well. So he was like, hey, I got you. Let's get you back in. And it didn't work out that way. And it's probably for the best. It probably is. Cause that was at the time where, things were starting to feel different about me. I was thinking differently. I was,
Mm.
emotions were kind of everywhere. So I dove into work, anything to keep my mind busy and occupied. Um, and
So Eddie, can I stop you really quick there? What tips would you give? And I know we're going to get into some tips at the end because I always do that to people. But when you're dealing with that and you're getting into that, are there any tips that you give? I mean, I've got my stuff, but I'm curious from a veteran, you specifically. Is there a tip that you have or something that you would do to get yourself out of that? To move forward, because you've obviously thrived, right? You're an amazing father. You've have thrived after the military, so you fought your way through it.
yeah.
So is there anything you could give a tip or so on that may get someone a little bit further faster when they're starting to struggle with that?
Yeah, I would definitely I mean, these days there's so many veterans out there in the workforce. Seek them out, seek those people out,
Mhm.
ask them questions, ask them, about healthcare. What I mean, a lot of people, don't have health benefits or good health benefits. Um, Ask as many questions as you can. Get their number and stay in contact with them. Start reaching out more and more.
Amen.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, support system's huge, and friends and links and acquaintances. It's huge. You can't be isolated. Isolated for years and years, and
Yeah.
um, stayed away from other military, and I was just in a bad place as far as that concerned. But yeah, my tip to guys transitioning now is like, look, you gotta think, you maintain your military bearing and discipline, but you gotta start thinking as I mean, a civilian, right? You gotta start trying to network, and you gotta start trying to reach out and find new avenues of approach.
Yeah.
We can still maintain the military mindset, but it's got to shift a little bit. You can't, you can't be. I mean, especially for the Marines, right? I mean, we're a little rougher around the edges, I think. um, you got to start to shed that away. Swallow a little bit of the pride, not all of it, but pride is still good to a
Mm.
certain point.
So
Yeah,
when you say that, Eddie, obviously I'm gonna go back 2 steps here because you're bringing up a lot of great stuff. So stay, don't be isolated, right?
yeah,
I am big on get in your communities. Find Facebook groups. I mean, honestly, everybody, we have 2 Facebook groups with Empower for families and for the vets themselves. So reach out. There's other veterans in there. There's a lot of support there. So, but Facebook, I mean, there is countless and countless and countless Facebook groups. And you know what? There's nothing more important, I think, and I hope you agree with this, to the actual person. Go have a lunch. Get on the
absolutely.
phone. Hey, how you doing, man? You know,
Hmm.
that isolation is the road that no one needs to go down or
Yeah,
should go down because it generally ends in a bad place, right? When it's
yeah,
isolated, like you said, for years.
yeah. It
So,
really, years, they just go by quicker and quicker. The older we get, the quicker they go.
don't
Uh,
they?
Another thing that I would recommend too is that is that every county has a VSO, veteran. Uh, uh, the term is leave fleeting right now. VSO, veteran safety officer, not safety. Anyways, it's the direct link in each county for the veteran to the VA.
Yes.
So anything having to do claims, schooling, uh, driver's license, veteran designation, veterans license plates,
Mhm.
awards and ribbons replacement. All that will begin with a VSO, and it's e-benefits now it's easy to access everything. It's all connected. So back then, in the early stages, it was all fragmented. There was pieces here, information, pieces there, nothing really tying things together.
Yeah.
So if you weren't actively searching and looking, you weren't going to know about it.
Right.
So now that it's almost a one-stop shop with them, well, as far as e-benefits, anyways, because it'll link everything, pull your records.
Yeah, I was actually able to get. I mean, I have thousands of pages of my dad's records, and I've got his medals
Yeah,
and
I see that. Yeah,
everything. And it's fantastic what they do for veterans and veterans families for that matter.
yeah,
So,
yep.
fantastic resource. Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
So, as far as other resources, was there anything specific that really helped you? I mean, was it family? Was it, and resources could be anything from the Veterans Association or the VSO or, there's so many resources, coaching, there's, online trainings. And I mean, it's all over the place now. But when you got out and as you've learned in life, is there anything specifically that helped you think that said you're going, is that aha moment, or what I call it, oh shit moment,
Yeah,
that
no,
you realize, hey, this really helped?
you know, um, it, it, it was pretty slim pickings in the beginning. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think things started to really move forward until after 2009, I believe, when post 9/11 GI Bill came out. That really kind of, got a lot. Well, me specifically back into school after being, I graduated high school in 1997. I didn't barely graduated at that. I mean, I had to pull my transcripts, and it was pretty pathetic, honestly. But hey, Ruby got me through it. And so going back to getting into enrolled in college and getting into the VA pipeline helped me find, for one at the time. I mean, they're still around. Winter Warrior Project. I know they were shedding some bad light for a while there. They really helped me through a time where I needed it. I just happened to have a friend that I went to school with. That ended up becoming getting his degree in social work, I believe, and got hired on with them. And anyway, they helped me from a lot. I mean, huge. The mission continues came in after that. We talked about service and continuing to help. That was huge. And then the Catch a Lift Fund, that was probably the biggest help for me, because people, anxiety has many faces, right? So you want to get back in shape working out, and sometimes going to a big busy gym isn't the best thing. So Catch a Lift Fund was when they started, was like, look, Chris Coughlin was his name. It was his sister that began it. It's a great organization. Look into it at some point, anybody that's listening. But they send, either they give you veterans a membership after some coaching and training, and they'll pay for a gym for you. Or in my case, they sent me all the gym equipment to my home.
Oh, fantastic! Wow.
We started working out, because that's another huge thing that you guys forget. You got to stick to. You got to continue on PT. And I'm one to preach right now, right? Because I'm probably haven't been doing it enough lately. But it's it's still, I have all my gym equipment, and it's a whole lot better to work out and get those endorphins pumping, and then trying to cope the other ways.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. Better that than going down the dark ways, right?
Yeah.
So, we had Coach Tyler Bray on a couple of days ago, which was fantastic. And we did touch base on probably not as much as we could have or even should have, but exercise, good nutrition, but exercise specifically, I'm going to talk about, it just changes the game. It releases all the good hormones from the brain, and just makes everything, emotionally better. I mean, you can literally, not only the little high you get, obviously, when you work out, but the rest of the day, next time you go work out, and I'm saying this to the people watching and people are watching in the future, do that. And another thing I want you to do is celebrate you're doing it, man. Literally, when you smile, it releases all kinds of endorphins and all those things instantly, to make you lift your mood, to make you happy.
Yeah.
And your brain doesn't know the difference. And then it's looking for other ways to, it's saying, hey, what happened? How do I get that again? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So guys, ladies, take a minute, smile. Literally, I'm going to say this literally, celebrate the little wins. You went out and you worked out, for instance. You made a right choice eating something. You got up and brushed your teeth. You got out of bed that day.
Yeah.
That's a win. That's a win, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a win. Celebrate it. Put your hand up. Oh, I'm doing the wrong side here. Put your hand up. Pat yourself on the damn back and smile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it changes your state. It changes everything. It'll change the day. And guess what? You're going to make better decisions that day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That day, right then, not tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Do it now.
Yeah.
That's my tip of the day. Now let's move on. Sorry, I get passionate.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. I mean, you're right.
No, you know what? For veterans, Eddie, and I think, one of the things that they deal with, there's 10 toxic thoughts or things we deal with as human beings. We call them the thieves of your dreams. I won't go through them all right now, but one of them is self-loathing, fear of rejection. I mean, self-loathing is one of the things that vets deal with a lot. It's hesitation, procrastination, fear of failure, fear of success. There's all these things that vets deal with it because they're conditioned not to ask for help, not, figure it out on your own and those kinds of things where, every human deals with one of these, I promise. And if you are shaking your head, no, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to me right now. Every person deals with these thieves of your dreams. And some people multiple times and at once, or multiple thieves at once. I've done it. Eddie, just the couple that I've mentioned, I'm sure you can say, yeah, I've dealt with procrastination, hesitation, one of those, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's little tricks and things like that you can learn to move forward faster. And that's what this is all about, right? Is getting people on here to do that. But celebrating, releasing those good chemicals in your brain are some of the most important ones to deal with self-loathing and that kind of stuff. Because if you love yourself, like yourself first, love yourself next, you'll get through anything, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep, 100%.
Awesome. So, hey, let me ask you a question. So you've been through it, right? And we got about 4 minutes left here. So,
oh wow.
I know I always need I tell everybody we need an hour. We need at least an hour. So
you just have to do it again part 2 later on.
I know, right? I'd love to have you back on, Eddie. I think you've got, and we've just scratched barely the surface.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What you can give to the veterans to give back and serve, and not that you've not served enough, my friend, but to help, because I know your soul, man. You want to help. I know that, or you wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. Yep. 100%.
So one of the differences between you and some of the veterans that are still struggling, what was and I'm going to keep this very short. We make decisions based on pain and pleasure, right? Mm-hmm. So how much pain are we going to go through to get to the pleasure, et cetera, and vice versa. Our brain just works that way. So what's the difference, and what was the breaking point or a thriving point, I'd actually like to call it, that moved you to being in a good place?
I think that was one thing that when you say pain and pleasure, right? So I knew moving forward to get out of a dark space, it was going to take effort and it was going to be tough and hard. And I stopped avoiding that. I just went into it. I wholeheartedly said, okay, I got honest with myself. I knew I needed to make big changes because I was tired of being dark and no hope. So I knew, okay, so change it's gonna hurt. It's gonna take a bit, but it's good. It's gonna help me in the long run. It's gonna help me, be here, to see my kids, to see my grandkids, to, enjoy life. And I also, even saying that though, it was kind of almost, it's got to be selfish. You have to do it for yourself. You can't. Many times where I say, well, I'll do it for them. Of course, I love my wife and kids, but at that point, you really need to be selfish and say, look, I want to live for me. There's more that I want to see. There's more that I want to enjoy. And I'm not done living. I'm not done, feeling the pain and whatever it is that I got to push through, physically wise, mentally wise, and getting honest. You just got to get honest with yourself. For me, yeah, we can go a whole into. A lot of veterans that don't necessarily believe in medications, but at some point, yeah, in my case, I needed medications for a while. I needed them, and I needed to change my way of thinking. And after about 5 or 6 years, I knew it was time to get off medications, and I did. So I got to a point where I was healthy enough, yeah, and where I could, and I moved on from there. And during even that portion, it was hard because I knew it's like, okay, I wanted to sleep. I can just take this pill just to sleep. But I knew if I just kept giving in to myself, then I would never be able to move on. And so it was rough for several months.
I love, Eddie, that you found leverage for yourself, though, because that's the leverage between pain and pleasure, right? I'm going to go through some shit. It's going to be hard. Yeah. But when I come out on the other end, I'm going to be a better man. And buddy, you're a better man.
I try to be, bro. I try to be,
Hey, man. Hey, I don't care if you're a veteran, a civilian, or anything in between. life's tough.
It is. Yeah.
And you get kicked to the ground. You get kicked. I'm not going to say the word, but you get up, right? You get up and you do another day and you figure it out, right? To some extent, you figure it out, but there's also those resources, and lean on a friend, lean on your wife,
Yeah, absolutely.
Let them know where you are, communicate, man. Right.
Yep. You need you need a support system. You need a tribe. You need a group. You need
absolutely find your tribe.
Absolutely. We can go on and on about that and different books and things that, but we can save that for another day.
It sounds good. Yeah, and you know what? We'll do that. So we're a little past time now, but hey, I have been every time I've done this. So one more question, actually two more, if you will.
Yeah.
How has the military experience, and this is what I really try to get, and what I do have veterans focus on, because they need to focus on the future, not the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Learn from your past. I always say learn from your past, but focus on your future, because if you live in the rearview mirror, guess what? You're driving, you're going to crash.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be looking forward.
Absolutely.
So what military experience did you bring out of life that serves you now? Leadership, or just I can get through it? What really did you bring out of military?
I think, Marine wise, it's always mission accomplishment, right? Always mission accomplishment. So I continue to, I carry that into the workforce, to the smallest, paying attention to the little things, maintaining a military bearing, but at the same time, chilling out a little bit, don't be so rough. Listen to your body, for one, as we're getting older, right? But a sense of confidence.
Nice.
When it comes to the, be engaged to people, talk through, whatever problems might be in the job force, in the workplace, and it's easier, I think, for veterans to, my life and insecurity. I mean, we know how to wear a uniform. We know how to shine our boots. I know that's a lost art now, but and you look good. You play good, basically, right? You look good. You represent something. Have that self confidence and pride and.
Oh.
In yourself, and what's that?
I froze up just a little bit on my side. So have confidence and pride. I heard that.
Oh yeah. I mean, and just that alone, it sets you apart from other workers, and it just and we kind of gravitate towards each other, and it's definitely easier to get through a day when you got fellow veterans, and of course the fellow bantering back and forth, makes it easier.
Of course.
So it's I've only met a couple coasties so far out in the workforce, but they're out there.
They're out there. Hey, so so I guess taking from that, well, basically what you're saying is, take that confidence, take that leadership, take those things that you've learned in there. And because they apply now, man, they apply to every day. And talking to all the veterans and so on that I talk to, they forget that. They forget those, because it's a job to a lot of them. It's just they're just doing their job, and they get out and they forget that those are skill sets that employers want. Starting your own business, there's so many opportunities and things that you can use the skill sets, like confidence. I mean, isn't that not one of the number ones? To come out and to get a job or start your own business or whatever the case may be. So fantastic. All right. Last one. Give me one more tip, because you give me a lot of them. Give me one more tip that got you further faster when you got out of the military, that you would give a veteran now to move forward faster.
Let's see. Get a part of an organization. I mentioned a couple earlier. Catch Lift Fund, Mission Continues, something that'll still give you a sense of accomplishment and pride, being around others that want to give back, to continue to give. Um, that was huge. I mean, it's being around like-minded individuals, and even with Catch a Lift Fund and Mission Continues, it has a lot of civilians involved in those organizations. So it's a mix of people. Yeah, it was started by former military and wives, and family members of Gold Star families. So it just brings a lot of different backgrounds and people together, for one common goal, and it's to help and to serve others, and not forget anybody, because that just, nobody should be forgotten. It makes me happy every time I see in the news where the remains of a fallen service member are brought back home to us, after 40, 50, 60 years, whatever the time frame is. Nobody wants to be forgotten. So that's the biggest tip. Get involved with somebody, an organization, or like-minded individuals to continue to help anybody in need. And it doesn't have to be veterans. It could be anybody. Coaching, coached youth football for several seasons, just kind of mentoring and helping others. I think that's the biggest thing to get you moving in the right direction, keeping you focused and engaged. And not let the little those dream thoughts, like you were saying, those thoughts that are really, they're not true. Don't let that stuff creep in.
Amen. Amen, Eddie. I think that's great advice, and that's kind of the golden nugget for the day right there. So, hey, Eddie, I just want to celebrate you, my friend. Keep smiling, man. Keep doing the good work. You're doing amazing stuff, and keep just being you, man. You're an amazing man. I love your family. We need to go do lunch or dinner. Let's connect, man. So that is it for today. So Eddie, again, I'm honored, and I say this every time, every show. Time is our most precious resource, and we know how busy we are because we've not been able to connect as much as possible. So I am honored truly for your service, who you are, what you've done. And I am honored you spent the time today.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend.
I'm glad we finally did connect. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And we'll connect some more. So we'll get you scheduled for another one. And a dinner. All right. Everybody, just want to say, the QR code up there at the top right-hand side of your screen, scan it. There are resources. Share it with veterans families. There's some ebooks on there. There's a lot of different stuff. Free ebooks, by the way. Just reach out, make connections, and stay engaged. We are out of here. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.